So I have floated this out there. It's $39 million you need. All right, 39. I don't know why I'm laying back like this, but what you need is $39 million to get OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet. Guess how much Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie make? Because you could technically trade those players again. You just can't add any additional salary, from my understanding. Like, you can either trade them separately with no additional salaries, or you can trade them together with no additional salaries. And right there, Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie bring you to about $32 million. If you look at the Toronto Raptors, Fred VanVleet makes about 21, OG makes about, so it's 38.5. Now, would that be able to get the deal done? It's interesting to see, because we're hearing that the Raptors have said that the Nets now have enough assets to get OG Anunoby, which was 3 first-round picks. Now they're probably trying to see if they can get Fred VanVleet thrown in there, because imagine if they can flip Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith for OG Anunoby. That'd be pretty cool. And I know that it does become interesting to see how that does happen, as the Toronto Raptors are 25-30. The Nets are currently in the 4th seed, 32-20. Shout out Cam Thomas. But yeah, OG Anunoby and our man Fred VanVleet for 3 first-round picks, and Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie is not a bad deal in my opinion, because you can send the 2023 pick from Houston via Houston or Philadelphia. Then you send the 2027 pick from Philadelphia, and then you can send the 2029 pick from Dallas in that deal. And it's interesting because right here, yeah, so it does work, because technically the deal can go down if, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, so money wise it does work, even though there's a $6 million difference. And this deal actually makes the Nets a better team, according to Fanspo. And let me read you the report that we're hearing and why this might be actually possible. And it's due to the fact from a report that we read from my man. Let me get the source right in front of me. My apology for not having the source. Okay, this is coming from Brian Windhorst and Zach Lowe. The Nets are reportedly interested in trading OG Anunoby from the Raptors, and their ability to trade him or on another potential deal could happen after the Kyrie deal. And we still don't know what the Raptors are going to do, Brian Windhorst said. And the Nets have called the Raptors over the last 24 hours. If the Nets can flip some of the stuff they got and pry OG out of there, you may have something there with the Nets. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, Windhorst said. And the Nets could potentially reroute Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith while using, own future first-round picks from the Mavericks and Sixers. And last we heard was the Raptors offered Brooklyn a first-round pick last year for Nick Claxton. So what we're hearing is that Windhorst is saying that the Nets' offering ability with Toronto has Toronto very interested, and that's all Brian Windhorst was going to leave it at. So I think that's definitely something to keep an eye out for, because it definitely puts everything in an interesting juxtaposition. Because if you're a Nets fan, I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie aren't bad players, but if you're telling me you can get OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet in a deal, I say do it, right? Am I wrong for thinking that, or are you guys in agreement with me? Because it does seem like it's interesting to see what's going on. And we've seen that the Nets explored a trade with Fred VanVleet before, when they tried expanding the trade, and the trade's not expanded. But that was from Marc Stein, that we heard that they could package Spencer Dinwiddie and draft capital for the Raptors VanVleet, and they could do the same with Dorian Finney-Smith. And that, to me, is a deal that people need to understand, that, like, I think this is information I think that people aren't realizing how much it could, lead to the team maybe even getting themselves a guy like, OG. And like, how much better would this, like, you guys saw there, Fanspo says this team would be incredibly better if they got themselves OG and Fred VanVleet. That'd be unreal if they could get both of those players. I know it'd be hard, but hey, if you can do it, you got to do it, okay? You can do it. But yeah, so I want to hear your guys' thoughts. If you were maybe the Raptors or anybody, it's definitely an interesting situation, which I know is definitely not what people want or want to hear that could happen, but I think it's just something that people should just look at and understand that hey, this isn't the worst outcome if they trade all these picks for Fred VanVleet and OG. OG's under contract. Fred VanVleet's going to hit free agency. You assume if they trade for him, they're going to bring him back. So I think this is just something that could work out really well for them. And just people, I think, are also just looking at it kind of like as if it might not be a good move. I don't know. Let me hear your thoughts. That's basically going to be it for me.